All right, boys and girls, this is your playground guy, Johnny Juan Ortiz, back in the Fun Life community. And again, you're watching this on the Childlike Faith podcast. Appreciate you guys being with us. And again, we really do. We are doing our best to encourage you guys to activate that childlike faith that is inside of you, to live out your childhood dreams in this playground we call life. And you've heard me tell it to you once. I'm going to keep telling it to you again. If you think this playground is awesome, wait till we get to that playground up in the sky. And today, guys, I have the distinct honor and privilege to have none other than David Wright. He is the lead coach for Ziegler Legacy Certification Program, had a huge impact in where the Ziegler program is going now. And so, David, thank you so much for being with us on this show today.
Oh, it's my honor, Johnny, and I'm so glad to be here. It's exciting.
Awesome, David. Tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of how this whole thing started, and just other than the obvious, right? I love your barber. I've told people that we already have a lot in common. But tell I call them the cool kids. Tell the cool kids a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I'm the oldest of four boys. I learned influence very early in my life because my brother, who's second in the birth order, I would say, I wonder what would happen if, and then he would go do it. And so I got to watch him do a lot of crazy stuff that I suggested. And, but just love the Lord, have worked with, my passion is helping people be all they can be, that all that God created them to be. And so coaching was just a thing that just seemed like that's what I was made for. I've been coaching for close to 35 years now, and it's been a powerful thing to see transformation and change come in people's lives. And so about 10 years ago, Tom Ziegler called me one day. We had been working on some stuff together and said, "Hey, have you ever considered writing a coaching program?" And you can ask one question, Johnny, that'll change and alter the future forever. And that question did that for us. And we've been, as you well know, and this is all God, man. When we started this, I never knew this was going to happen, but we've been in 16 nations on 6 continents. Zoom opened the door for us to literally reach the world in a way we hadn't before. And so now, as you know, we're expanding this. We're starting to scale it, involve some of our Ziegler coaches in helping us grow this because we want to touch the world. And I love what you just said about if you think this
Yes,
playground's great, wait till we get up there. So
absolutely. And this show, right, the Faith Your Fears Friday, is really all about faithing. And everybody says, fake it till you make it, or face your fears. It's one thing to face your fears, it's another thing to fake it till you make it. But when you really do have that childlike faith, right, almost that faith that David had going after the giant, he didn't even call him by name, right? There's
that's
something
right.
that happens, inside. And you said the key word earlier, transformation.
Yes. That transformation is everything I do, I boiled down to that one word, transform. That's my why. That's, it's all about seeing people transform. And that's what life's about, is us becoming more. You know, Mr. Ziegler said all have a more capable person within us. And as a coach, that's what we do. We draw out that more capable person so you can be more, do more, have more, give more, share more. And that's what life is about being more. In fact, that's the definition of potential. It means to be or become more. So we want to maximize our potential so God gets all the glory.
Man, David, I call those writer downers. I mean, if you guys are watching this, you better get your pen and paper handy because I promise you, David's going to continue dropping some of those writer downers. And those are those things that you almost have to go back and watch the replay, right, to be able to get it. Because sometimes you drop some stuff that is just it's common. It's common for you because you've done it for so long, but for somebody listening to it for the first time, you almost have to say it twice, three times. So let me ask you this, because we started something on Fridays a while back before we started having guests on the show about it's called a free coaching Friday or Friday, because we're all about having fun and not like being childish, but having that childlike faith to just know that our Father, right, our Heavenly Father, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, really did create us for so much more than we're living at this moment. And it doesn't matter how big your dream is, when you start to put God into the equation, it seems as if we're not dreaming big enough. Can you kind of expand on that?
Well, because of the world we're living in and what the enemy did even with Adam and Eve, what he did with Eve was he got her thinking that she wasn't enough and that she was missing out because she couldn't eat this fruit. And really what he did in that, he robbed her of her true identity and robbed her and Adam of their true identity. And that goes on today. So many people are living in that place of not sure if they're good enough, not sure if they've got what they need to move forward and be more. And so we see these, there's something I teach in coaching with our coaches is we see basically 5 fears that people are dealing with that's keeping them back or holding them back from being all they were meant to be and going out and achieving their dreams, seeing their dreams come to pass. All right. So why don't we look at what those 5 fears are and talk about that for a little bit? And Johnny, you can jump in, you can shoot me some questions or whatever, and then I'll be glad to answer those. But like I said, one of the things that holds us back, um, is fear. And we see throughout scripture that all the time God is saying to us, fear not. And so, what we have to learn in this life is not only how to face our fears, but how to push through them. Because, as Mr. Ziegler said, um, fear is simply false evidence appearing real. And 9 times out of 10 or 99% of the time, it's not real. It's something that we thought up, imagined, or something that someone has said to us that's caused us to go to that place. But the number one fear that we deal with a lot of times is fear of failure. People hate to fail. We all hate to fail. And so um, it's can be such a significant threat to us that our motivation to avoid failure exceeds our motivation to go out and do something and to succeed, to work toward our dreams. So, and really what fear of failure is about us having a fear of shame. We don't want to be ashamed. And so we do things or say things trying to mitigate that, and it holds us back and keeps us from moving forward. Uh, and we see it in all kinds of ways in our life. Such as personal relationships, academic pursuits, in our career goals, our creative endeavors, especially, we see it. We don't want to fail. We don't want to be less than. And so, people who have this fear of failure are motivated by fear because they find it hard to manage that basic emotion of disappointment, anger, frustration, those things that accompany such experiences. And so a lot of times it just holds us back, it shuts us down. And so what we want to address with the fear of failure is, and it's really the primary problem, it tends to operate at an unconscious level. A lot of times we don't even realize that's what's holding us back. And so there are several things you can do to conquer the way the fear of failure can influence your behavior. And so let's look at those. Number one is to recognize it and own it. Okay, I'm afraid of failure. Everybody in life is afraid of it, but the reality is that's the way we move forward. Mr. John Maxwell had a book out about it and called Failing Forward. And that's how we learn, that's how we grow. You know, I like the analogy, Johnny, of the baby learning to walk. What's the baby do when it's learning to walk? It falls down, right? And what do? We pick it up and go, good job, let's do it again. They take another step and they fall down, and eventually they're taking 2 or 3 steps, and pretty soon they're walking and then they're running through the house. But they did it by falling down and getting back up. And one of the ways we confront the fear of failure is like, okay, if I fall down, I'm just going to get back up and try it again. And so that can help us move forward through this. The second way is every time we see failure, instead of seeing it as a missed opportunity, we need to see it as a learning opportunity. And so um, look at how you're growing in this. This is a learning opportunity. So understand that setbacks are a natural part of any journey. And so we want to learn. All right. And so um, number three, so we see fear as a learning opportunity or failure as a learning opportunity. Number three, focus on the aspects in our control. We can't control everything around us. So identify what can be controlled and move forward there. And don't get focused on the what ifs or what I can't do or what I can't control. Then set realistic goals. Sometimes we've got these big goals that we've set, and and that's great to have big goals. I believe in that, but break them down into manageable um, tasks that we can accomplish one by one by one by one. You know, Darren Hardy had a book he called The Compound Effect, and he talked about tiny little steps of progress over time create momentum. And so, as long as we're moving forward, even if it's baby steps, we're going to be going where we need to go and getting there. So set some realistic goals. And then celebrate the victories. That's something we don't do enough here in our world. Celebrate. Yay. You know,
Absolutely.
I took a step. I got there. And so we want to make sure we're celebrating everything. And so like when I'm working with my coachees, uh, Johnny, I'll ask them, what'd you get done this week? And they'll tell me. And then I'll go, awesome, let's celebrate. How are you going to celebrate that? Are you going out to eat tonight or what are you going to do? You know, so find a way to celebrate every day. Every day. Find some joy in life and celebrate. Learn from your mistakes is another thing. Okay, I failed here, but we're going to do better next time. And I'm going to learn from this. See yourself succeeding. That's another way to overcome the fear of failure, to see yourself succeeding. And understand, the last thing is this is a gradual process. Transformation happens one simple choice at a time. We move forward one simple choice at a time. And that's a great quote from Tom Ziegler's book, Choose to Win. And so, and I'm known as one of those guys I read a lot. So I'm always associating books with what I'm saying. But that, as you know, Johnny, that is a great book. So, all right.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've went over that book with different clients, and I call it the foundational program, right? Where I teach them how to do the basics brilliantly, because a lot of times we overcomplicate it or overanalyze, right? That's paralysis by analysis. And I call it the KISS formula. I had to change a few things because I didn't like the original saying, but I keep it simple, superstar. Just to
Amen.
keep it fun. So yeah, continue on. What else you got for us, David?
All right. Well, that's the second fear that everyone deals with at some point in life is what we call the fear of the unknown. And so that's the fear of new things. It's a common psychological phenomenon. It's characterized by irrational fear or anxiety about situations or experiences that are unfamiliar to us or we're uncertain about. And so, like a lot of times when we're learning a new skill, we're enjoying the learning process, but when it comes to actually implementing what we're learning, because it's new, we get scared. And so people feel insecure about something that they're unaware of. The other thing that comes out of this is why a lot of people don't like change. We all tend to get set in our ways and we like the familiar. And so when something new comes along that's unfamiliar, we're resistant to it. And so the fear of the unknown is a fear of anything beyond one's comfort zone or anything beyond your control. I'm thinking of someone I know, a family member I know personally, and boy, they have a real issue with new things because they don't know. They feel like, oh, I'm out of control now. The world's spinning crazily out of control, and we're going, just chill. It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And but what happens with them, they get this insecurity that rises due to a feeling of possible loss of their stability or security. And so they really want that sense of security and stability. And so they don't take action. They would rather sit than to take a step into the unknown and experience something new. A lot of times, this is what we identify. We use the term procrastination. Procrastination is simply choosing not to move forward, not to do what needs to be done. And uh, in sales, and you're in sales, Johnny, this is what we call reluctance. How many times do you know you got some calls to make and you don't want to make them? So you're busy with everything else around you. You can think that's got to be done. And most time it's just busy work because you don't want to make that phone call. What if I make them mad? What if they don't like me? What if I say something? But that's something we have to push through. And so, as we know, we tell salespeople just pick the phone up, dial the number, and it's going to be okay.
Smile
Um,
and down.
Smile and dial. That's right. And that that truly is important because even though people can't see you, they can hear the difference in your voice, and there's always a difference when we're smiling. So, so so we want to make sure that we're moving forward through this and we're not letting the unknown keep us. The reality is this: every morning you get up and start your day and you think, I know what's going on. I'm getting dressed. I'm going to eat this. I got to go to work or I got to meet this person. And we think we know, but the reality is we step into the unknown every day because we do not know everything that's going to go on today. And, you know, who knows what's going on today? I could go drive down here to one of my favorite restaurants, but between here and there, I have no idea. I don't know what traffic's going to be like. I don't, you know, maybe a tree fell over last night in the storm and it's blocked the road. Uh, we just don't know everything that's going to go on today. And so dealing with the unknown is something we do every day. And I've got this quote that I use and talk about a lot because what I found is this is true is your dreams reside and your future is found in the unknown. Let me say that again. Your dreams reside and your future is found in the unknown. And that's where we go, right? We're starting this new program at Ziegler.
Absolutely.
We and we don't know everything that's going to happen. We're excited about this program. We got people involved, but we don't know everything that's going to happen. What are we doing? We're just stepping into it. And as Tom says, we'll deal with it when we get there. When it appears, when we know what it is, then we know how to deal with it. So, uh, one of the most beneficial ways about dealing
Man,
with
that is
them,
so key. So key. You just walk by faith, right? Not by sight.
that's it. Walking by faith. And we go from faith to faith. We grow in that. Scripture says we go from faith to faith, glory to glory. And so we're growing in this all the time. And we're talking about transformation of moment. But one of the most beneficial and long lasting remedies is simply changing your thoughts, changing your imagination from the negative to the positive. And there's a book out there called The Gap in the Gain, which talks about that's a great book also. Instead of looking at the gap, let's look at the gain. What have we accomplished? Look how far we've come. Uh, and getting past that fear of the unknown. Uh, Talk to yourself. You can do this. You got this. Challenge your negative thoughts and beliefs. Engage in the positive self talk. Mr. Ziegler used to talk about that all the time. He said, the way you see yourself, your self-image and your self-talk impact everything else in your life. So change your story and start looking at the possibilities, you know. I remember back in 2020 when COVID first started, and one of my clients called me and he was talking about all the changes that were being made in his industry because of COVID. And so I asked him this question. I said, okay, where's the possibility here? Where's the opportunity to grow and do something new? Instead of focusing on all the changes, what what can you do to grow and maximize the opportunities and possibilities that are coming to you? You know what? He had a great year. He outdistanced everyone in his company because he stopped focusing on the challenge and started focusing on the possibilities and the opportunities. And so a lot of the facing the fear of the unknown is simply getting up and taking action. Get up and do something every day. And so, all right. The next one.
Man, that is
This
so
is,
key. I mean, one of the things, just really fast, one of the things that
yeah.
I tell people a lot of times, especially on fear, right? A lot of times we think that fear is the enemy. And I think our biggest enemy, and you hit the nail on the head earlier, was inaction. When you
Yes.
don't make a decision, when you don't take the action necessary, I mean, we always think about the what if it doesn't work and never stop to ask ourselves, what if it does work? All right, I'll shut up. I'll shut up. Go ahead, continue.
No, that's awesome. I love that. So the next one is, and this is the big one. It's fear of rejection. And so this is one of the deepest human fears we deal with because we are all wired with a longing to belong. Uh, and so we want to be connected with people and we fear being seen in a critical way and we don't want to be rejected. So we avoid the prospect of being cut off or demeaned or isolated, turned down, criticized, excluded. The reality is we fear being alone. And now the depth of that and the experience varies for everyone. And if you're familiar with the DISC personality assessment, guys like us, I'm a high I. High eyes are people. They're one. High eyes are at the party first, and then you have to invite them to go home because they're the last ones there. And so, but one of the things high eyes want is approval. You got to like me. Why wouldn't you like me? I'm likable. Come on. And so we hate rejection. And so, what but when you look at it, the question to ask yourself is, what are you afraid of? What's what's going on here? And usually that comes from allowing what we believe or know others think to drive our decisions instead of our thinking, desires, and goals driving our decisions. And that right there, Johnny, is a key in all five of these spheres I'm talking about. Is what you see is we let what others think influence us more than what we know to be true. And we acquiesce and accommodate others instead of standing up and doing what we know we should do to achieve the goal. And that we got to stop. I'm not saying we shouldn't listen to the wisdom of those around us, but we have to stop letting what we think other people think influence us so we think we'll be liked better, you know, and it won't be rejected. Some of the people that have done some of the greatest things in life and history, you go back in scripture, they did things that everybody thought was crazy. And you reference David when he went against Goliath. That all of them thought that was crazy, but nobody else wanted to go out and face the giant. And David, like you said, he didn't even call him by name. He just said, "Here's what I know. God's going to take you down today, and he's just going to do it through me." And and so his confidence was in what he knew is God would do for him. Well, God's done the same thing in us. He's given us all these skills and talents and abilities and experience, placed all that within us, and all that's available to us every day. And so, if I heard this saying, they say in your 20s and 30s, you care really a lot about what other people think. And then in your 40s and 50s, you start saying, "Oh, I don't care what other people think." And then in your 60s and 70s, you realize nobody was thinking about me anyway. And so just get past it. Let's move on. So work on building that self-confidence and improving your self-esteem. So you move forward. All right.
Man,
There
I'll
we
tell you
go.
what.
Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I have to say this one thing, right? The one thing one word that I came across not too long ago was the word Godfidence, and it just simply stood for knowing that I can't, but He can. And so whenever you activate that Godfidence, all of a
Yes,
sudden, it's not a matter. All you have to do is go out there and do it. Let Him take care of everything else.
that's right. So the fourth fear we deal with, and I've dealt with this one a lot with people I've worked with, is the fear of success. And those who fear success are those who are afraid of what might happen, what might change, or how others might feel if they become very successful. So a lot of times they've achieved success in the past and now they're afraid they're not going to be able to do it again, or they're not going to be able to do it as well as they did before. Or what if they don't do as much as they accomplish as much as they did before? um, those who are afraid of success, they are their biggest obstacle. Their thinking is what is truly holding them back and challenging them. And so what we call that is
That's a lot of people.
they have limiting beliefs about it. And I live here in Franklin, Tennessee, which is a suburb of Nashville. So you see a lot of this here in the music industry. Somebody will have a hit record, or somebody will write a hit song or something, and then they get stuck. And it's like it takes them 2 years to do something else because of that very thing I just said. They've had some success, and now they don't know what if I'm not good enough to keep doing this. And so um, the best way to face the fear of success is maybe just sitting down and asking, well, how do I define what does success mean to me? And identify your underlying beliefs about success. Before we can overcome this fear, we have to understand what it is and what success means to us. Once we begin to most fear flows out of ignorance, what we don't know. And confidence comes out of knowledge, what we do know. And so, if we want to overcome this, we just need some knowledge. We just need to understand what it is, where it's coming from, and then we can face it and deal with it. And that sounds simplistic, but that's it. And so, Um, just sit down and asking yourself some questions. How do I define success? What about success is scaring me? What's creating this in me right now? Understanding that. Um, where did it come from? A lot of times when we understand just those few things I just said, we go, well, that's silly. Why am I thinking that or feeling that? And that's not even real. And we move on. Another way to face it is to start journaling about it. And I know some of us journal, some of us don't, and think we should and know we should. But it's interesting what happens with journaling. Is you sit down, you start writing. Okay, I'm here and I'm journaling, and I got this fear of this, and all of a sudden things start appearing on that page as you write. You're going, wow, where did that come from? You know, or I've gone back in my journal and read it and went, I wrote that. Wow. I just had a day where the intelligence was really working in me. But but journaling is a great way to process and get it out so you can move forward. Uh, and then we hear a lot about Johnny about positive self-talk, and affirmations, but all that is encouraging yourself. Is the way I like to say it. You need to encourage yourself. You know, have an encouragement day where you own, here's who I am and here's what I'm good at and here's how I care about people and about things and what I'm doing. And that sense of encouragement helps you overcome those feelings of fear. And so every morning, Mr. Ziegler used to say, every morning, get up and tell yourself, I'm great. I'm worthy of success. I can succeed. I deserve to succeed. And I'm going to have a great day today. So, do you practice that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I stole it from David, right? Even the Bible says that he had to encourage himself in the Lord.
That's right. Yes, he did.
Absolutely.
And so, encouragement in any way empowers us, it lifts us up. So, it's okay to encourage yourself. There's a scripture, Philemon 1:6 talks about the communication of your faith or your confidence is effective by realizing all the good that's within you. And Paul wrote that to Philemon. And so he's saying, hey, recognize that everything God's put in you that's good. And that gives you faith and confidence to go out and communicate the good news. And it makes a difference in your life. And I love to be around encouragers. And I try to be one myself. And so encourage yourself, though. That's okay. That's a part of loving you, is encouraging yourself. All right. Last one, the fifth one here. And this is the big one, fear of taking a risk. Uh, this fear encompasses everything we've talked about today up to now. All the other four fears are wrapped up in this one. And fear of taking a risk is our perception of a situation that prevents us from pursuing opportunities or possibilities due to a perceived threat of failure, of loss, or negative circumstances. And so, fear of taking a risk, really what we're fearing is loss in some way. A good example of this is a person chooses to stay in the same state, in the same little town they grew up in because they're afraid of being uprooted from family and friends. And so, at the expense of greater opportunities or possibilities outside of where they live right now, they choose to stay where they are and they miss out on those opportunities and possibilities. I was just reading about a young lady who's become a great artist, country music artist. She left her state, came and lived in a camper. She met a guy who owned a recording studio, and he said, "Well, you can park your camper here and plug in." And so she lived by that recording studio in a camper for several years till she got some songs recorded. People started using her, and now she's won the Artist of the Year and all these different things. And so if she hadn't come and made that investment,
wow,
and and she did what okay, I'm just going to live in this little camper until I make it. She probably looks back on that today, Johnny, and goes, "What if I hadn't have done that? I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have be doing what I love to do, what I feel like God called me to." And so it doesn't matter where we start. It's just a part of the journey. We just have to start. And so we have to get past the risk. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't evaluate the risk. Yes, we should, but we shouldn't let risk keep us back. We just need to start. And I tell people, just take baby steps. Just start. You don't have to go out and conquer the world in the next week. You just need to take some baby steps and start. And again, it goes back to the baby learning to walk. That's how we do everything in life. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. And so we want to make sure that we're planning. We want to make sure that we've got a target. We want to make sure that we're setting goals and doing all the things that we know to do. So we overcome and we feel good about where we're going. We've got a plan in place. And so I want to encourage everybody here, don't be afraid of failure. It's going to happen. Sometimes you're going to trip and fall. Get back up. You know, don't be afraid of success. Success comes. And sometimes we have great success. Sometimes we're successful, but it wasn't quite as much as it was. But it's all success. We're moving forward. Don't allow, here's a big one for me. Don't allow others to inspire self-doubt in you. They don't really know you. A lot of times people are trying to inspire self-doubt in you because they don't feel good about themselves. And they're trying to feel better about them.
They're that crab.
Yeah. So calculate the risk and go for it, you know. And I'll share something my dad taught me. He said this. He said, "Life is an adventure. Get up every day and go find yours." And that's it. I get up every day going, "Okay, Lord, what are we doing today? And what's the adventure? Come on, let's go." You know, and
that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And what a great way to live. I'm living the adventure of life. Someone that was influential in my life just passed away. But he was out doing what he loved to do. And he had an event he was speaking at. He went and spoke at this event, just knocked it out of the park, went to his hotel room, went to bed, went to sleep, got up the next morning, got dressed, was getting ready to leave, and boom, he was gone. But what a great way to go. He was living the adventure. He was getting up every day, going and doing what he knew he was called to do.
Doing what he enjoyed doing.
Yeah. And what a great way to do, to live. He wasn't sitting at home on the couch going, "Well, you remember when we used to do," you know. No, he was up living life. And so a lot of facing,
he was doing it.
Yeah, a lot of facing fear is just getting up, as you know, using your faith, just, "God, I'm trusting you in this, and we're going to move forward. What's the step I need to take today?"
Absolutely, David. Thank you. Yeah, one step at a time, one day at a time, little baby steps. You know, thank you so much for coming on here, sharing that with us. You know, just a couple of things before I wrap this thing up. I've always heard that if you don't sacrifice for what you want most, what you want most ultimately becomes the sacrifice. And so we
Yeah.
have to be willing to take that risk. And, you know, it was Tom Ziegler that told us in our coaching program that he was talking, I think it's your skill. And you do that by starting little baby steps. And I want to say it was Les Brown that said this. I've probably heard a couple other people say it, that if we're casual about our dreams become the casualty. And so you can't ever allow that to happen, because you're right. Going back to the baby, I mean, what if he had just made up his mind, this is not for me? So anyway, David, this has been such an honor and a pleasure to have you guys. I can't wait to get this out there, have these people listen to this, take notes. Again, get your pen and paper ready, because he dropped some bombs, some big writer downers. David, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on here. And we definitely got to do this again. Do this again.
Sounds good.
Hey, thank you so much. You have a great afternoon. I will definitely be reaching out to you. And for you guys, right, the cool kids in the Fun Life community, hey, share this. Share this with your friends, with your family. Imagine what would happen if we were able to overcome those 5 fears, especially that last one. That was a big one that David helped us out with. So thank you guys so much. Again, we were able to do some free coaching Friday for you guys to go out, be more, do more, and have more. And not just to have, right, but so that you can give. And you can't give that which you don't have. And David just unlocked some great gifts for us to be able to go out and implement and live out our best and most fun life in 2024. David, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your afternoon. You guys, we will definitely be back in contact with you guys starting here Monday morning, right? Thank God it's going to be Motivational Monday. Have a great, phenomenal weekend. Adios. Thank you, David.
Thank you.